Good afternoon. Thank you for coming along to see our talk on why special diets are the way forward for airlines to increase customer loyalty. I've got a wonderful panel with me. My name is Mark Ward, by the way. I'm with Food Case International and I look after the Global Special Meal Programme. On my right...
Do you want me to introduce? Hi, I'm Melanie Berry. I'm Director of Customer Experience in Iberia.
I'm Julianne Ponan, and I'm the founder of Creative Nature, top 14 allergen-free brand, and I work with Mark a lot of the time with special diets, trying to increase loyalty on board flights and keep passengers safe.
Hello, my name is Simone Valli. I work for Austrian Airlines. I'm the F&B manager and I also do the service concepts for Austrian Airlines. And I am Audrey Hart. I work at Virgin Atlantic, responsible for the food and beverage development and execution for our network.
Thank you very much. We go on to our first introductory slide. Thank you very much. So, perhaps Julianne, you want to talk us through some of the data?
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, you'll see on the slides, 1 in 12 children suffer from a food allergy. So around 5 to 10 years ago, it was 1 person in every classroom. Now it's 2. And imagine that on board an aircraft and how many airlines are traveling every single day. There's a lot of customers there. And at the moment, 80% of people that were surveyed were unaware that may contain statements are all voluntary. So when caterers are buying in food for airlines and buying in products and they see a may contain on the back, that is not regulated at all. So it may contain a little bit of the product or it may contain a huge amount, which makes a very difficult problem for consumers in the market. Also, in terms of the 2024 GS1 research, 56% of people actually had an allergic reaction from poor labelled products, and that is from may contains or also products that just claim to be free from but weren't.
Okay. Next one.
And in terms of the rest of the data, 11.8% of people were refused to board an aircraft just because of their allergy. I have been one of those people. Now imagine I'm in Dubai, just coming back from a trade show, and I physically cannot get home just because I have a nut allergy. Should I not be allowed to board a flight? We are all people, we all want to travel. How do we make travel more inclusive and easier for people like me with allergies to get on board a plane, feel safe when they're on board, and also eat on board? Everyone enjoys good food, so I think it's really important, and a lot of airlines are doing some positive things. We've got amazing people on the panel, Audrey, Simone and Melanie, who are going to discuss exactly what they've done in the industry to be more inclusive. Another stat is 73% of people said that they would have who had a positive experience on board would choose that airline again. That's a huge percentage. Airlines who want to create loyalty and who want customers to come back need to be tapping into this market that hasn't been thought of before, really. And on top of that, 30% of those customers said that they're willing to pay more. That's a huge percentage.
Thank you very much. If we go to the next one. So, may contain, maybe Audrey, we can hear your perspective on what that means for you and Virgin.
So the may contain labeling, when it does exist, is a tricky one because it creates not reassurance, it creates confusion, both with our onboard crew, in being able to support the customers in their selection and choice, but also around our network, because there's such discrepancies in what is declared, what isn't, what is suggested and what it doesn't. What is difficult for us as an airline when we select product is the availability of product that is going to be suitable for purpose across our network, and there's great variances. You know, we are based in the UK. We're blessed with having growing availability of product that can guarantee free from, that is produced in a free from environment, and therefore those labels are not there or can be validated and audited against in a way where we feel comfortable we've got the right product that's going to support our customers. It's not the same everywhere in the network, you know, and there still is a lot to be done in the industry. We can influence some, but, you know, we're not the only one in food. Hospitality, restaurants, everyone plays a part in there, where we are limited by what is available, and sometimes the best you can have is those products, and you have to work around it.
Thank you. Simone, perhaps you give us your perspective. You have quite a personal story.
Yes, I'm also allergic to some food items as like lactose and walnuts. And it's always hard for me also if I go to a restaurant and ask, okay, does it contain walnuts or is it dairy free? Sometimes they just give you a look. It's like, yeah, it is, but you don't feel comfortable with, yeah, it is. And it's the same with our guests on board. And the best thing is to make it more aware for the crew that it may contain is not the option. So we have to tell them there is no nuts, no dairy, no gluten, and they know that they can serve it to our guests just the way it is with no problems afterwards. And that's what I am trying to do and trying to look after for Austrian in the future.
And how hard is that?
Oh, it's really hard. But now at this nice exhibition, I had several talks, really nice talks to people who support this and who help us to do the best for our guests and make it an experience, even if they have allergies, and make them welcome on board as everyone else.
Thank you. Mel, perhaps you could give us the Iberia perspective.
Well, I think from my point of view, it's it's down to the simple fact that if it says may contain, we have to tell our customers that we advise you to bring your own food. You know, if you have a severe allergy and we cannot guarantee it, you know, the very simple fact is none of our suppliers will guarantee that anything does not contain anything. So it's quite simply that we have to put a caveat on our website and when we talk to any customers right now that because there is a risk things may contain, then we recommend you bring your own food, which is a terrible customer experience. You know, it's something that we have to fix that I know everyone here on this panel is working very hard to try and fix.
It's a new world. You got the next one. Does everyone know what may contain actually means? So may contain is when something claims to be free of one of the top 14 allergens or top 11, I think, in America. Then there's a may contain that actual very item often. Also disclaimers such as made in the kitchen that also handles the allergen or a set of allergens. It's often used as a get out of jail clause. In America, I know they've just changed the law adding sesame to the allergen list there, and lots of producers are intentionally adding sesame to not be part of that whole conversation. So want to also touch on vegan. Maybe, Julianne, you could lead us through that.
Vegan is a big buzzword at the moment, as we all know, and vegan and vegetarian meals have come a long way since 5 years ago. However, what does vegan really mean? And we went out to the public to see what they thought vegan meant. And this plays very much into the may contain statements. So when you see vegan on the front of pack, we ask them, well, what does that mean? Does it contain any milk? Does it contain any egg? Does it contain any animal products? Everyone we surveyed said, of course not. It can't contain. Now, we did the tests with an independent lab, and we found that 1 in 3 products that were claiming to be vegan and then said may contain milk and egg on the back actually contained milk and egg. That's a huge percentage. If a consumer is getting confused on board a flight, for example, and sees vegan and goes, yes, that's safe for me, eats the product, and then has an anaphylactic reaction, that is going to cost the airline a huge amount of money. And also, it's false advertising because vegan is not a regulated term. And this is something that we are pushing forward in the industry, that veganism needs to be regulated more and free from claims need to be protected. The next slide is really just to discuss what it is like to fly with an allergy. So I did a little video of me flying it on board an airline and what I have to do when I go on board, as there are so many things as a person with allergies that we think about before we fly, and that is from people bringing on nuts on board a flight to wiping down the seats to telling the crew on board. I've had incredible experiences on board some airlines and they've really put the passenger first. So could you just play the video for me, please?
Come board an airplane with us with our founder who has a nut allergy. So we opted for pre-boarding. We had a chat with the cabin crew beforehand who said they would make an announcement, and this also meant Julianne could be on first on board to make sure all of her surrounding areas was clean. We were ready to go and just waiting for the allergy announcement.
We have bistro service, and we would also ask you not to open or consume any nut products on today's flight. For further information, please ask a medical.
And this makes such a difference. Being allowed to pre-board as a person with allergies, your anxiety level goes from super high straight down because immediately you're able to speak to the crew first. And many airlines make multiple announcements. I know when I was on board Iberia, the crew were fantastic. They allowed me to wipe down the seats. And also, they did 3 announcements on board. I don't know if this is a criteria, but to do that made me feel so much safer as a passenger, and people on board understood that this was an allergy to take notice of.
Thank you. So, oh, you bet. So what are the challenges airlines face when doing special meals? So we'll start with you again, Audrey, if you may.
Yeah, sure. There's a few. I have my little list in preparation. Apologies, I'm not going to be too dull, but I'll start with the lack of harmonized standards internationally. To be able to have harmonized regulation, ways of auditing, standards of definition is a bigger hurdle. We work with Medina Quality, our food safety partner, alongside many other rail and airline operators to have harmonized standards, but that's not reflective of all the destinations outside of that network. It just is to ensure that our caterers are at least following clear guidance that we audit against. Our environment as well, as was mentioned by Melanie, is not necessarily conducive to free from environment. We work caterers in shared kitchens. We can't control what others will put on their menu, so we have to be realistic in what we can enable and sustain on the long term. The productive availability is also something that from market to market can be limiting and is a challenge. Not everywhere, and keep on pushing the boat and putting the demand out that we want safe product to create inclusive travel for the very many segments that we have on our flights. Ever-evolving customer demand. This is the latest trends that we're seeing. For example, our customers will say, I would like a vegan meal, but also I have a nut allergy and I also would like it to be kosher. Or they'll say a multiple of combinations that frame from the religious to the lifestyle to the dietary requirement or medical needs. This is something at the moment we can't accommodate to in ways that we would love to, but it's extremely complex. We already have 16 special meals we cater for, but they're not necessarily allowing going down to the common denominator. So we're working towards pushing that boat further, and also ensuring on-board compliance by our customers, because we do make those PO announcements as well, as Julianne has experienced in previous travels. But that doesn't mean that all customers will have a full understanding of the actions that they take at times. And so we have a real long task to create that moment of awareness and mindfulness when being on board flights where we have special requirements.
I think that list was pretty comprehensive. Do you guys have anything to add?
No, not from my side. I think that covered everything. I think, like I said before, the real big thing is that nobody can guarantee anything, and because of that, we have to say, bring your own, really.
You do have pre-packaged products, so it's that surprise and delight element. So even though if I'm told to bring on my own food, I'm still not disappointed when I'm on board because I'm able to have something like a pre-packaged snack or anything makes you feel more included, and I think that's the thing we need to take away. Sometimes it's not possible to cater for every single thing, and sometimes it's dangerous to say that you're catering for it, and it's better for you to bring your own food on board. But let's move forward and have something available for people on board.
And it's also really important to always visit the catering partners and make sure that they really, really produce everything as they promise us. And also try to make them aware that those allergies are becoming more common and the people need free from, really free from.
Yeah, it's a great challenge for airlines, and I think there's a lot of opportunity as well as just doing the special meals that IATA list or Medina list or whoever else. Actually, there's opportunities to deliver new and more modern meals. You hear me? More sports nutrition, more ketogenic meals, options for people travel for all sorts of reasons. So things like people are having cancer treatment, so perhaps meals that are specifically designed for those people that they can pre-order and maybe you can sell and actually make some money on. So I think that would be a good thing. So what does success look like, Mel, in special meals?
For me, success would be to have happy customers that are confident that they can eat what we serve on board. And honestly, to do that, I feel that we need to work on a solution that is very similar to kosher meals, because there are so many risks in the whole kind of chain, the customer journey, that I really feel that success in the future is about developing and creating, which we're working on actually with you, a meal that is sealed, that is totally guaranteed to be free from X allergens, that we can serve confidently to the customer, that we can present to them in advance, that they can really be sure that they can safely eat. So for me, that's success.
I totally agree with that. Simone.
Success for us is that guests with allergies choose to fly with us again because they know they are taken care of for all their needs, and they choose Austrian over all the others because they know they can just fly with us.
Audrey, can I rephrase that question just for you?
Sure.
Do you think that people will actually come to you specifically because you cater well for allergies?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I truly believe that when you can guarantee safety, that you build that trust, and you deliver something that's truly delicious, the customers will come back because they'll know all the care and attention in that specifically curated product, and that naturally delivers loyalty in the brand and in our service proposition.
So looking at the crew part of it, so how do you communicate to crew throughout your networks how important this is? It's a huge question, but have you any ideas on how you approach it?
So at our end, we try to provide information right from the beginning, both on the customer journey, but in the crew journey. So for the customer, having very clear guidance with the technical requirements of our special meals, what is available, what isn't. And then if the answer is not available on the website, to refer it to our special assistance teams that further assist. The outcome of that might be to have to bring your own subsistence because we cannot fulfill every need at this moment in time. But being equipped to make that decision and prepare yourself for travel is one thing. On our crew journey, we do a 3-year recurrent on food safety as standard. So not only do they get trained as a food handler right from they start their journey with us, but we continue to retrain them in alignment with changes in regulation, changes in our service proposition, new offering. So it's constantly being rebriefed. That's formal training. We constantly issue new crew notices, etc. And we also audit our process continuously as part of our improvement program to make sure they adhere to that. You know, I personally fly as crew myself and spend my time educating crew, on the journey and work with my colleagues in the cabin function to do that continuously. And when we have the opportunity to do showcases of product, like we've done with Creative Nature, for example, when we do cycle changes twice a year, we ensure that they have exposure to the brands that we work with. Joe has been there too, working with Gillian, to share the product, to tell the stories, to provide that education piece, so that they are great ambassadors on board and great advocates, and they know what product they can provide to customers when they face and encounter those situations on board with confidence, with education.
And how do you accomplish that within Austrian?
Well, we have allergy informations for the crew. They get it with every cycle change, but only from flights from Austria, from our catering from there. I am trying to get also the allergy information in the future from our caterers abroad, so the crews are more aware what is inside the meals, and they have the help and also the information right away on board if they need the information.
Oh.
From our point of view, we have the allergy information from all the caterers worldwide, but the problem is they don't guarantee that they're correct. We also work with the crew on the procedures, so we get the crew involved in developing the procedures that will work for them and will also meet the customer's needs. And then we're in the process of creating training videos, because the cabin crew are a really different community, and to try and find the right way to communicate with them is really a challenge. So we're kind of going for TikTok style short videos that will really engage them but give them clear messages that they're happy to watch. And we're also incentivizing them. We have like a reward and recognition app, so the more little videos you watch, the more points you earn and the more prizes you can win. So we're trying to do everything we can do to really encourage people to ingest more information and to be more aware, so that they understand, the diverse needs of our customers, because there are many things, cabin crew are everything. They are the security guard, they're the police, they're the doctor, they're the nurse, they're the agony aunt, they are the medical advisor, they're the food, they have to know everything. So
Straight jacket.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, we try and find new inventive ways to get them to take the information in.
How do they report that back? As in, how do they give the information back to you so you can use it on a more global scale?
In terms of when they have flights
Yeah.
and experiences. So I think all of us, all the crew, after every single flight, write a report. We now have much better digital tools. So they write everything that happens on a flight. Now as well, things are moving with AI, so we're able to analyze all of the information a lot quicker. If there is something very specific food safety related, then that will be fast-tracked to us.
Amazing. Julian, I'm going to ask you a question, because obviously you, and you, Simone, actually, when you travel yourselves, you obviously have to make provision. So have you had a best experience, and why?
Oh, that is a tricky question. The best experience and why? Ooh, well, I just prepare myself well ahead of the travels. I was flight attendant myself for 17 years, so
Really?
I know how travel works. Now I travel for business and to choose the meals that come on board for our guests. So yeah, well, preparation is everything, and the best experience is just that the experience stays in your mind and you just want to experience that thing again. But there's no particular experience I had in the past.
Okay, that's fair. Julian?
I think the issue is you always remember the bad experiences, don't you?
Yes, we're trying to spin that.
But, so I'm not going to go into the bad experience. What I'm going to do is say that it starts before the passenger boards the plane. It starts with the communication piece on the website. How do I find the allergy policy? How do I contact the airline? And if you can get the customer in at that point and you speak to them in a way that's human, we all want to be spoken to in a way that we can understand clearly, that when I go on holiday or when I go on business, I can get from A to B safely, and maybe, if I'm lucky, enjoy some food. That's all we really want, and I'll choose an airline again and again. And obviously I'm biased because we work with Virgin and we work with Iberia. So yes, I do love these airlines that are putting inclusivity at the forefront. EasyJet, though, I must mention, they're doing some fantastic work with banning nuts on board a flight and doing incredible announcements. And they even, on your boarding pass, you can put it into the system and it flags up, and as soon as they scan it at the gate, they are informed. And they come to you saying, oh, I know you have a nut allergy. And that makes such a difference because you're not announced in front of everyone and you don't look like the weird allergy kid. I used to be called that when I was growing up. But you're just accepted. And I think that's what we're all wanting and needing. So that's what I would say. I wouldn't say there's a best experience.
Thank you. So, what are the trends you were all seeing in your from your guests, from your customers now?
I think I just alluded to it earlier. I mean, we're definitely seeing an increase in demand, irrespective of the special meal type, may it be driven by lifestyle or may it be driven by dietary limitations or medical needs. As I said, the mix of requirement is the key thing that we're seeing now. And what we're most conscious of, we don't want to go to the lowest common denominator and just tick all the boxes and have one size fits all that will limit choice by default. Our key focus right now to try and meet that demand as best as we can within reasonable measures is to fill the gap where there are gaps, where, for example, there are multiple allergens, finding potentially a solution to with an allergen-free meal, as opposed to defaulting to a fruit platter. You know, these are the elements of focus for us that are going to aim to address the gaps that exist currently in our service proposition.
Simone, maybe you'd like to answer.
Well, I'm trying to also build a bigger experience, especially for everyone on board, the same experience everyone else gets in terms of food and drinks. So I'm trying to not just serve fruit platters to everyone, because this is a no-go. And people who get fruit platters all the time don't choose the airline again. So I'm trying to build up special components, especially in business class, like a special soup, special main dish, everything tailored for the special needs. And then they can experience the same thing like everyone else.
Mel, have you anything to add?
Well, we're definitely seeing an increasing request from customers for meals that are allergy-free, which has definitely led us to go on the journey that we have been on with both Julianne and yourself, Mark. But we're also seeing an increasing number of complaints about how terrible the special meals are, to be honest, about how boring they are, about the fact that they are the same, that there's no imagination, and customers are really fed up, to be honest.
I kind of would agree, having been on the receiving end of those meals for quite some years. If we could ask, the experience of being somebody with a special dietary need starts at home before you even book the flight. So how, when you go onto your websites, or can you actually make that experience better? Because I think people with severe allergies particularly need the reassurance, need that, the confirmation my special meal's coming, or there will be something I can have, or, make provision for themselves.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Well, and we're still quite a way behind. We've still got a lot of work to do on our website, because we need to have some more products. That means we don't just say, if you've got a severe allergy, we recommend that you bring your own food. So we want the website to really have our policy clearly defined, so that anyone who goes there, we want to have a special allergy kind of section on the website where you can go and you can understand the process. We want it to be a digital process so that you can actually put all of your details in, and then they're recorded, and then it automatically, everything that Julianne said really, that it gives you the reassurance that you know from day one we're going to look after you.
That's really cool. And maybe Simone.
It's the same for Austria, and we are also way behind with our website. But in the future, there should be definitely mentioned that special food components are not on board, like as Lufthansa, not free cabin. So this is something we should go to. And also in our digital menu card, we can pop up and point out the special dishes that are safe to eat, even if it's like, I don't know, a fruit platter.
So what needs to happen then, perhaps, to make that happen?
Just in alignment with my colleagues on the panel, we are way behind where I'd like to be. You know, it's legacy systems, still driven by, I guess, IATA codes, etc. So there's not visibility of what the actual product selected. So when we talk about what our challenges and aspirations would be, for me, it's like, of course, delivering a safe product, but a delicious one. The part of the delicious, being able to look forward to your meal, knowing what it is that you've ordered, not just that you've ordered a technically sound meal, is the bit that we're missing upon. And I'd like to be in a space where the technology of the near future, I'd like to think, will allow us to create that visibility in the same way that we now email all our customers in all cabins, pre-flight, this is your menu on board the flight that you're flying on, bespoke, knowing that if you're flying to JFK, it's not the same menu that's going to Delhi. We're not in that space for special meals yet. We'd like to be, because inclusive travel should have the same journey. But we're not quite there yet, but it's in focus. Hopefully we will be sooner rather than later.
Yeah. So you've all got lounges, I guess, as well, in your businesses. So how do they do compared to being on board? So let's say Julianne goes into your lounge at Virgin. Is there anything she could have?
I mean, for us, the lounge experience has more flexibility than the in-flight experience, because in our lounges, we have chefs that can customize the offering. There still is a core menu to order from, but similarly to a restaurant, within reason, you have the ability to ask without a component or potentially have that conversation in ways that on board we are more limited.
Yeah.
And certainly in the timelines of ordering, a special meal has to be pre-ordered 24 hours in advance, 48 hours in certain cases. In clubhouses, you do not have to walk in and pre-order your meal. You can have the conversation and then maybe potentially have it customized. So there's more flexibility in that space, for sure.
For sure. Simone, would you like to add anything? Not to the lounges. Okay, no lounges.
We have the same problem that we have in flight, to be very honest, because it's the same caterer making our food for the flight. So the solution that I am working towards is with you, which is to try and have a meal that is prepackaged, is safe, that we can use in our lounges and on board to be able to guarantee that they don't contain. It's just as difficult for me in the lounge, unfortunately, as it is in flight.
Thank you. The world is talking about mental health. So I'm going to go on to that subject because I think it's fair to ask the question. Lots of people who have food allergies, severe food allergies, have immense anxiety, which causes mental health issues, all sorts of things. In fact, one of a colleague that Julian and I work with, Dan, he has the #1 blog for allergies on iTunes called May Contain. It's very well known, and he's a nut allergy, which he's had since he was a kid, that suffers with severe anxiety every single time he flies. And he's flown with the same airlines lots of times, but had very inconsistent experiences subject to the cabin crew. And, I don't want to diss any airline, but some airline experiences, so you are at the mercy of the crew to deliver what you guys want them to deliver. So how can we perhaps make some of those things happen? Any answers?
I think we've already covered it, really. It's about how we train and educate the crew. Consistency is probably one of my biggest issues because to deliver a consistent service continually, flight after flight after flight, is not just a problem around allergies and special meals too. It's a problem in general. So it's something we're working on. I think it's always going to be work in progress, but it really comes down to the training and the engagement with the crew. But I mean, we all have thousands of cabin crew. It's not easy. If it was easy, we'd all be perfect. We're all humans as well, so it's difficult. But yeah, it's really everything that I think, from my point, I've already said about training and engaging with the crew.
Thank you very much. Where would you like the future to be for you as a person with a severe allergy?
I think there's so many positive things that have already happened. My parents, when I was young, were very much like, your allergy's not going to limit you. So pushed me to fly, pushed me to travel, see new cultures. But I did have an allergy on board an aircraft. And experiencing that, I think, gave me more anxiety. Because I didn't realize how serious my allergy was. But it really is down to the crew. As you've said, it's such an important part. And I think that what your team do when we come in, when brands have to, I think brands are responsible for educating people, not just the airline. It's the brand that you have on board. It's the caterer. They need to come in and showcase what they're doing differently to the crew. We speak with Audrey's special assistance team. We went up to, I think it was Glasgow or one of them, Manchester, and we trained them and we discussed what are the things that we're doing differently. How can we aid help you on board a flight when someone says to you, I've got a nut allergy, I feel, and you can tell that they just feel stressed and they feel that anxiety. How can you mitigate that? And the crew have such power in that experience. So I think training the crew more regularly, which will cost more, I understand, but I think it will have a better loyalty for your passengers on board the aircraft. And we're doing an event with you as well, which I think is going to be fantastic. So airlines are coming on board with this. But on top of that, I do think that inclusivity piece of having something on board, I don't really want a fruit platter anymore. I'm actually just tired of having a watermelon, an apple, or a banana. I really would love delicious food, and I do think there is a step in the right direction going, and that is the way forward. Good food, clear transparency, and airlines willing to put inclusivity first.
I'm going to put another question your way because I think it's an important one. Do you think, would you be prepared to pay more for a meal that was allergen guaranteed?
I have already many times. I've rebooked a flight because I've reread the allergy policy. I've also chatted with their chat bots online, and they've gone, we cannot have you on board our flight. And I've changed flights up to £500 to £600 more just to fly a flight. So I could probably put my hand on heart and say majority of people with severe allergies will make that conscious decision because it's your life. Yes, the lifestyle choice potentially is going to be a lot lower, but the severe allergies, which is 1 in 12 now, they don't have a choice. It's not a lifestyle, it's a need. So you're never going to go, oh, got to pay an extra 30%, I'm not going to pay it. Would you, Mark? That's a question back to you.
Actually, absolutely. I think people are prepared to pay more. People are demanding more now, and the problem is special meals are sold at the same price as regular meals. So I think there is an opportunity for actually people to upgrade to something that is perhaps allergen guaranteed. It's a commercial decision because not many people do it, but I think that if somebody's brave enough to make that choice, I think they'll reap the rewards. Similarly, I think somebody sitting in economy might not be able to pay or afford perhaps the business class meal, but is certainly willing, business class seat, but is certainly willing to pay maybe 30, 40 quid, dollars, euro to get a better meal that is perhaps allergen guaranteed. Do you see any opportunities, Mel, that we haven't discussed? Commercial.
It's a tricky one, commercial, for me, because all of us are working on accessibility, which for me is where this sits, making travel accessible for all. So it's kind of something that I'm torn about because yes, we could charge more, but then does that really make it accessible for everybody? I think it's something that we should be working hard to find a solution and to sell. I think the commercial aspect comes in the loyalty that, if we do it, they will come kind of thing. So the more that we can be known for looking after people with allergies, then they come, they bring themselves, their friends, their family, because they're not going on holiday on their own or traveling somewhere on their own. So I think we should think about it more in terms of generating additional seat sales rather than charging for meals, so that we're really making it inclusive and accessible for all.
Audrey, you have to try.
Yes, I'm very much in agreement with that. Being a legacy complementary airline, particularly, is the very least we expect to do and aspire to do in the accessible and inclusive space is to provide a product that is safe and delicious to all, or as many as we possibly can, realistically. However, there is potentially a space for us to play in ancillary services, above and beyond our normal service proposition, maybe snack boxes, those kind of things that are not detracting from the complementary offering. And there potentially there's opportunity, but the baseline, creating that loyalty, that trust, and knowing that they'll convert into seat sales of the future is where we're focusing on, yeah.
And finally, I wanted to just touch on influencer, allergy influencer as a way of, if you don't travel alone, you influence where your family go to eat, to sleep, to go on holiday, and with whom to fly or travel with. So how much of an influence are you?
I think it's definitely an untapped revenue stream. It's a channel that people don't really understand. Throughout my whole life, from going to a restaurant, as you said, if we go to a restaurant together, we are going to be telling everyone where we're going because we're the people that need to be catered for. So yes, when we're going on holiday, I like that airline. I only want to fly that airline because I've had a great experience. When I was younger, though, I would definitely say it was my parents making those decisions. But again, they're making the decision with myself and my sister in mind of our allergies. So I do think there's an untapped market here. I would love to do a data analysis of how much revenue could be increased through just the extra 5 or 6 people you're bringing on board with you when you're flying.
Any final thoughts, anyone? Because we've got to wrap up, I understand. What's the future?
I guess for us, we hope to be able to meet our customer expectations and their expectations of the future. They're constantly evolving in a way that will feel on par with our overall service proposition, that we will have supporting partners around our network to be able to deliver that consistently and with excellence, and that, the pain points, the friction points that we experience now, like technology, like limitations of availability of the information, maybe allergen or otherwise, will be something that we look back upon fondly, but is no longer our reality.
Fantastic. Simone?
Well, the future should be to just work on getting better and better to cater and care for the people with allergies. And yes, make also the crew more aware of how they can bring and present the food and comfort the guests on board with allergies. That should be our main focus for the future, because now I think we just don't do enough.
Thank you. Allergy, you?
For me, it's safety. Safety is the most important thing on board a flight, and that comes from the pilot, the crew, the food on board. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about people's lives. If we can make it just that little bit more inclusive, if you can remove gluten, remove nuts, remove dairy as much as you possibly can, but still deliver a fantastic service, delicious food, why are we not doing it?
Thank you. Mel?
I'll get the final one. For me, I think it's about, I want to come up with something that we can provide on board that does not say may contain. I want to have a product that people can safely feel that they can eat. It's as simple as that.
It really is that simple. Thank you all so much for being on the panel.
Big
Great
thank you,
to
Mark,
hear
as
from you.
well.
Thank you.